Get ready to discover the inspiring story of the man who brought an end to the apartheid and became South Africa's first black president. With unwavering determination and a commitment to peace, Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, only to emerge as a Nobel Prize-winning hero. Let's dive into the remarkable journey of this iconic leader. Who was Nelson Mandela? Embark on the journey of one of the most inspiring figures of our time, Nelson Mandela, a true visionary who rose from humble beginnings to become South Africa's first black president. His tireless activism against apartheid, membership in the African National Congress, and decades-long campaign of non-violent resistance to oppressive government policies etched his name in history. Despite spending 27 long years in prison, his spirit never wavered. Recognized with a Nobel Peace Prize shared with President F.W. de Klerk, Mandela's legacy continues to ignite change and hope worldwide. Get ready to be inspired by the life of this remarkable leader. Early life. Step back in time to the birthplace of a future icon. In the tiny village of Muezo, on the banks of the Mbashe River in South Africa, a baby was born on July 18, 1918, with a name fitting of his destiny, Rolihlahla, meaning troublemaker. Little did the world know, this child of a former tribal councillor and the fallen chief would grow up to shake the foundations of apartheid and become a beacon of hope for millions. Discover the early roots of Nelson Mandela. Experience the humble beginnings of a future hero. After his father's loss of status, Nelson Mandela's family relocated to the idyllic, yet impoverished village of Kunu. Surrounded by rolling hills and footpaths, the young Mandela grew up in a world far removed from the conveniences of modern life. Huddled in basic huts, subsisting on a simple diet of maize, sour gum, pumpkin and beans, and relying on springs and streams for water, Mandela learned the realities of poverty and inequality at an early age. This foundation would later drive his tireless pursuit of justice and equality. Education. Nelson Mandela's early years were marked by significant changes and challenges. At the suggestion of one of his father's friends, he was baptized in the Methodist Church and went on to become the first in his family to attend school, where his teacher gave him the first name Nelson. Tragically, when Mandela was just 12 years old, his father died of lung disease. In a show of compassion and respect for Mandela's father, he was adopted by Chief Jongintaba Dalindebo, the acting regent of the Thembu people. These experiences shaped Mandela's character and helped lay the foundation for his later achievements as a political and social rights leader. A turning point in Mandela's life. Forced to leave behind the comfort and familiarity of his childhood village, Nelson Mandela traveled to the regent's royal residence in Mkhizeweni. But what was waiting for him in the regent's royal residence in Mkhizeweni? A new life as a prince, with responsibilities and opportunities he never could have imagined. With newfound opportunities for education, Mandela honed his skills in English, Xhosa, history and geography at a one-room school next to the palace. As a young prince, Mandela was exposed to a rich cultural heritage and the stories of African history. He heard from elder chiefs about a time when all South Africans lived in harmony. But with the arrival of white colonizers, this idyllic existence was forever changed. The white men claimed the land, air and water as their own, leaving the black community with nothing. How did these lessons shape Mandela's views on inequality and his determination to fight for justice? Political awakening. As Mandela approached 16, he was ready to take a rite of passage into manhood with a traditional African circumcision ritual. This was not just a physical transformation, but a cultural one. In African tradition, circumcision was necessary to inherit one's father's wealth, marry, and take part in tribal rituals. With 25 other boys, Mandela embraced this age-old tradition and felt a sense of pride in his heritage. Were you aware of the significance of circumcision in African tradition? As the circumcision ceremony marked his transition into manhood, Mandela was filled with hope and eager to embrace his people's customs. However, Chief Melegili's speech during the event shattered his youthful optimism. The chief painted a bleak picture of the future, declaring that the young men in attendance were enslaved in their land and that their promise would be wasted serving the white men who controlled their country. Though these words didn't fully resonate with Mandela at the time, they would later ignite a fire in him to fight for a free and independent South Africa. University life. Growing up under the watchful eye of Regent Jongintaba, Mandela was destined for greatness. Trained in the ways of royalty at Wesleyan mission schools, he thrived with hard work and determination. The young country boy quickly adapted, making friends and even finding success on the track and in the boxing ring. Despite initial teasing from classmates, Mandela's charming personality and drive to succeed won them over. This was just the beginning of a journey that would shape the future of South Africa. Would you like to know more about his time at school? Well, stay tuned. From humble roots to the halls of Africa's Harvard, the young Mandela begins his journey to a career in civil service. At just 19, Mandela enrolled in the prestigious University of Fort Hare, known as the Harvard of Africa, attracting top scholars from across sub-Saharan Africa. With a focus on Roman Dutch law, Mandela aimed to pursue a career in civil service as an interpreter or clerk, the highest regarded profession for black men in apartheid-era South Africa. As a rising star at the University of Fort Hare, the African Harvard, Mandela made waves by being elected to the Student Representative Council. But when the student body voted for a boycott over food and power grievances, Mandela sided with the majority and resigned from his SRC position. This act of defiance got him expelled for the rest of the year. But the regent gave him an ultimatum: return to the university and serve on the SRC or face the consequences. Little did the regent know this expulsion was just the first step in Mandela's journey toward fighting for a better future for all South Africans. After being told he had to follow the latest order from Regent Jongintaba to get married, Nelson Mandela took a leap of faith and fled from home. But where did he go? And what did he do? He made his way to Johannesburg and took on various jobs, including working as a guard and clerk. Can you guess what he did next? He continued his education, studying law through correspondence courses, and eventually enrolled at the University of Witwatersrand. What do you think was the driving force behind his pursuit of education? Anti-Apartheid Movement. In 1942, Mandela joined the fight against apartheid as a member of the African National Congress, or ANC. But he didn't just join any ordinary group. He joined a rebellious group of young activists within the ANC, known as the African National Congress Youth League. They had a mission to turn the ANC into a powerful force, fueled by the voices of millions of rural peasants and working-class people. They were fed up with the ANC's old, ineffective tactics and wanted real change, so they pushed for a new strategy of boycott, strike, civil disobedience and non-cooperation. And in 1949, their efforts paid off as the ANC officially adopted these methods and aimed for full citizenship, land redistribution, trade union rights and free education for all kids. For 2 decades, Mandela led non-violent acts of resistance against apartheid in South Africa, including the 1952 Defiance Campaign and the 1955 Congress of the People. He co-founded the law firm Mandela and Tambo, with Oliver Tambo providing legal aid to the black community. In 1956, he and 150 others were arrested on treason charges, but were eventually acquitted. However, the ANC faced a new challenge from Africanists, who felt the organization's pacifist approach was insufficient. Wife and children. Mandela lived a colorful love life, tying the knot thrice and fathering 6 kids. He first married Evelyn Ntoko Masse in 1944, having 4 children together: Thembekile, Magatho, Makaziwe, who passed away at 9 months, and Maki. However, the couple parted ways in 1957. In 1958, he tied the knot with Winnie Madikizela, and the couple had 2 daughters, Zenani and Zinziswa, before going their separate ways in 1996. In 1998, he married Graça Machel, Mozambique's first education minister, staying with her till his death in 2013. Prison years. With a shift in his beliefs towards the belief that armed struggle was the only way to change, Mandela co-founded Umkhonto weSizwe, or MK, an armed wing of the ANC in 1961. He masterminded a nationwide workers' strike that lasted 3 days, but was arrested for leading the strike the following year and sentenced to 5 years in prison. In 1963, he was put on trial again and, along with 10 other ANC leaders, was given a life sentence for political crimes, including sabotage. Trapped behind bars for 27 long years, Mandela's spirit never wavered. From Robben Island to dusty prison yards, he fought for his beliefs even in the face of disease and mistreatment. But even with limited resources, he continued to educate himself, earning a law degree through correspondence. Plot twists and turns, including a failed government escape plan, only fueled his fire to push for change. As Mandela's symbolic power grew, a global movement for his release took shape. Despite his transfer to Pollsmoor prison in 1982, to facilitate talks with the government, Mandela refused to abandon the fight against apartheid, even declining a conditional offer of release in 1985. His unwavering commitment inspired the world and solidified his status as a legendary figure of resistance. F.W. de Klerk. How did the world finally secure Nelson Mandela's release from prison after 27 long years? It took a coordinated international campaign and mounting pressure from both inside and outside of South Africa to bring about his freedom. After numerous failed talks with the government, it wasn't until President P.W. Botha was replaced by Frederick Wilhelm de Klerk that Mandela was finally released. De Klerk lifted the ban on the ANC, and with Mandela's release, the stage was set for constitutional reform and the fight for black South Africans to receive the right to vote. Mandela was elected as the president of the ANC, with his trusted friend and colleague Oliver Tambo serving as the national chairperson. Despite his commitment to peace, Mandela made it clear that the ANC's armed struggle would continue until the black majority had the right to vote. Presidency. Mandela and President de Klerk's tireless efforts bore fruit as they successfully negotiated a peaceful transition in South Africa. History was made on April 27, 1994, when the country held its first democratic elections, with Mandela at 77 years old becoming the nation's first black president. In his 5 years as president, Mandela harnessed the power of sports to bring people together, healing deep-rooted divisions by encouraging black South Africans to support the previously unpopular national rugby team. With his incredible spirit of reconciliation, Mandela paved the way for a brighter future in South Africa. Mandela brought the world's attention to South Africa as he transformed the nation from apartheid to democracy, all while making a lasting impact on the world. He used the power of sports to unite a divided country and paved the way for a brighter future. With his Reconstruction and Development Plan, he made history by signing a new, inclusive constitution and was even honored with the Order of Merit. Under Mandela's leadership, South Africa emerged as a beacon of hope for the world. Retirement and death. Mandela retired from politics after the 1999 election, focused on charity work through his foundation, and served as a mediator in Burundi's civil war. He was diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2001 and retired from public life in 2004, returning to his village of Kunu. He left this world on December 5, 2013 at 95 years young. Despite a fight against lung infection in 2011, he continued to battle health issues, even undergoing surgery for a stomach ailment in early 2012, before eventually passing away at his Johannesburg home. Well, that marks the end of this video. We've covered the life and legacy of one of the most inspiring figures in modern history, Nelson Mandela. From his early activism to his time in prison and eventual rise to presidency, Mandela's unwavering commitment to justice and equality left an indelible mark on the world. I hope you got some value out of this biography. If so, make sure to drop a like and see you in the next video.